Live. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Podrace After Party. I'm General Catan, and these
And
are my
I'm Flip.
lightsabers.
You are.
Okay. I dare anyone to challenge me. Anyone, come at me. So yeah,
Damn.
I told you this other one went out. So yeah, just one. I can still be formidable with one. Come at me. Who? Okay. So, welcome to the Podrace After Party. I'm Joel Catan. I'm going to take my ugly mug off screen because I'm told that it actually makes people nauseous. So, I would like to welcome my panel of guests and, of course, my co-host. Please introduce yourself.
Yo, it's flipped out. Glad to be here. Glad that you're back in Greece, my friend.
Oh, I'm happy. I'm so happy to be back home.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. It's awesome you're back. Hello, everyone. I am Narant. Thank you for having me on, Katarn.
Always a pleasure, Rand. So today I'm featuring two new guests, the Darth David R. and the Real Comic Stacks. Now, we have a lot of things to cover, so what I see this conversation's heading is going to be is, of course, the Old Republic, because Flipped Out started a lovely conversation that I want to expand on. The Old Republic doesn't get a lot of praise. It does amongst hardcore fans, and as you can see on Darth David R's profile, he has a picture of Satir Shran, which was one of the Grand Masters of the Jedi Order. Now, a Grand Master before Yoda, I believe. I don't know if there's anyone in between. I forget my EU history. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But she was a Grand Master that could stop a lightsaber with her bare hands. Now, that is impressive.
Yeah, it's like a force power that she uses to repel the lightsaber, so it doesn't actually touch the blade itself.
It doesn't block the blade. Okay. Does she absorb it, or?
It's like the force power, so she uses like the force to hold the blade away from her hand.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, isn't it Tito Mendes or something like that? The force power?
Yeah.
It's pretty much the same power that Darth Vader used to block Han's blaster bolts, right?
Yeah, it's similar to that, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty sick. That really was.
So does it fall under the category of force absorb?
Yeah, it's an absorption power, so yeah, I'll probably put it underneath that as well,
Maybe
yeah.
like a variation. Yeah, that's cool. So,
Yeah, I know this is going to sound a little lame, but forgive me for this. But I know bits and pieces of the EU, and like I was telling you earlier, Darth David R., I'm basically learning as I make these Sith series. But another reason I'm not diving right into it is ever since David Benioff and Weiss, just we heard that they were going to do this trilogy, and everyone knows they're doing a great job with Game of Thrones. I thought, just like everybody, they're going to definitely do the EU stuff, the Old Republic, maybe. And that could go ahead.
Yeah, I hope they do. There is a lot of different storylines that they could follow through the Old Republic era. Like Revan, how he was a Sith, turned back to the Jedi, and stopped his old Padawan Malik. You've also got the Exile trilogy that we could go into.
I'm just trying. The reason I say it's lame is because I'm like, well, I want to learn more, but now I'm actually, ever since I found out about that, I'm like, well, maybe I shouldn't, because how much cooler would it be to just experience their take on it without having known anything? And I know that's kind of weird, but it's like the first time you go to a Star Wars movie ever when you're a kid, and I'm trying to find that feeling.
Yeah, well, I think they will change the stories a little bit, so it's a surprise to the people who know the Old Republic as well. So I don't think they're going to follow it, word for word for what the actual stories were.
Right. It's probably not going to be verbatim. Right. Well, the things I am learning, I mean, I learned by happenstance, talking to people like you, watching videos, and, of course, creating my own. So that's something I can't help at all. But that's refreshing to think, that it wouldn't be verbatim. I know it looks really good. The stories look solid. And they're not basically following, guess what? There's an empire and there's stormtroopers. It's sort of like the First Order.
Yeah, they're more Republic soldiers, so they're not clones or anything. They're They're just Republic soldiers that have been battle hardened through training.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
pretty cool that they had like regular citizens actually fighting for them, and then they moved on to clones, and then it's when it was Empire, it's stormtroopers.
Well, do you guys believe that clones could actually return in a form of Star Wars, like being, a clone army is like something more efficient if you wanted efficiency? And
Absolutely. I mean, it was even mentioned in the new trilogies. Kylo Ren was saying that a clone army would be more efficient than General Hux's. So
well, that's true. And I actually have some inside information as to why Palpatine let the Jango Fett clone be stretched so thin as a matter of its, regarding the DNA. He needed the DNA to be deplorable so that he could have an excuse as to why he needed to enlist afterward. So he wanted to have control over the galaxy, and the best way to do so is by enlisting, soldiers from the world that the Empire ruled. So he couldn't do that if he had clones, because it would be like, okay, you've got your clone army. Why do you need us civilians to be enlisted? So he wanted a deplorable DNA model, and after being stretched for like 3 years, or even more after that, because the clone was ended, but they still continued cloning up to a point. So I think that it's a plausible theory. Now, clones were also mentioned in the Attack of the Clones, where Lama Su and Obi-Wan was talking, and he said something that is very key if you pay attention. Obi-Wan says an army, and then Lama Su says, yes, a clone army, one of the finest we've ever created. So he could have said it is, yeah, we created a clone army. He could have said, yeah, it's just a clone army. We created it, like mentioned it the first time, but he basically said it's one of the finest we've ever created. And that means that they've actually created clones for some time. Dex even went to Obi-Wan and said, hey, yeah, there are cloners and pretty damn good ones too, which means that this is their, like, trade. This is what they're good at. So it's plausible that they could return again. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I believe that too. I remember reading something about that being a rumor. I mean, I personally would welcome it, and I based on your avatar, I think you're probably pretty into that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what they'd look like, but I mean, there are some subtle things I like about the sequel trilogy. It's still got Star Wars elements. The stormtroopers look great. I think the outfits are freaking badass. Their gear.
Yeah.
I found it funny in the sequel trilogy that they had what's his name who plays James Bond? He played one of the stormtroopers.
Yeah, Daniel Craig, right?
Yeah, and they actually had it 007, didn't they, in his stormtrooper name?
Did they? That sounds apropos, man. Yeah, that's awesome. I really do like their outfits. And what's really cool is a little story. I was in pest control about a year before The Force Awakens came out, and I stopped at this guy's house here in Atlanta, Georgia, and he just happened to be the I don't know what they call the leader of the 501st in this area, but he was the head guy of the 501st in the Southeast. And it's a really random person. I couldn't believe it. But he had full gear of the First Order Stormtrooper. The helmet down to the shoes and everything. I was like, wow, dude. Apparently one of his friends was a prop artist for The Force Awakens and managed to help him get the mold. And then so they made the mold together, and then they needed an extra helmet, so they actually took his helmet and used it in The Force Awakens. He has pictures and everything. And then he let me put it on. I have a picture somewhere on an old phone that I can't turn on anymore, but it was a pretty trippy situation. So about a year before The Force Awakens came out, I got to put on that Stormtrooper helmet.
That's awesome. Like, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, man. I'm real bummed that when I left the job, I cleared out every photo except just that one, and I was like hoping that he would let me download it, And I went to hand it in with the screen cracked, and he goes, "No, you can keep it, dude." Face palm, because I had so many pictures on there I deleted. But I still have the phone. If I could turn it on, I tried powering it up about 2 months ago, and no bueno. So, but It was neat meeting the guy. He had a designation, something like TK896321 or whatever. I've got his number somewhere, but it's $3,000 USD to make one of those outfits. Actually, sorry, that's the old Stormtrooper. The new ones are like 5,000.
Whoa,
Dude.
Yep.
Now,
that's a lot.
well, you can actually cheaply 3D print some 3D printed plastic and just basically have a Under Armour bodysuit and make it
Hey,
work.
they got some cheap fabric ones at Party City for $17.99. I don't know if y'all know.
I think I'm with you on that one, bro.
That's my price range.
My kids got 2 of them.
Nice.
Well, actually, look, I'm not a collector. I'm not a huge one of those guys like Mike Sidious, for example, where he has like basically every single toy from the movies ever. So I actually decided that hey, I'm going to, with my budget that I have, I'm going to be collecting some very few items, but I want them to be like as exact as possible. I mean, I could pick up the lightsaber that I showed you, both of these lightsabers, the Obi-Wan and the Luke Skywalker ones, for like those late builder cheap ones, and I could have easily gotten one of those, just to say that hey, I've satisfied my need for having like a toy of those. But I said no, I'm going to get myself the actual one, build it, and it's going to be there. It's just worth it. It may be expensive, but you have an actual prop that looks like the one in the movies, not just a plastic toy. And Darth and Stacks, I guess that you guys have been filled in the fact that I do build these props. So yeah, Flip is going to be, like kind of my first person that is going to help me, push my commissions. Hopefully, if I do a good job and Flip likes what I've made for him, I can actually go ahead and start doing some more commissions for people.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, that is cool.
So, what hilt would you guys like want to own if you had the opportunity to? Like which hilt?
I'd probably say Satil Shan's lightsaber because that does actually look awesome. It's got all the details on the hilt, and it's a double blade as well.
That's something that can be done.
There are so many of them that are just the classic ones, just like Luke Skywalker, the original Anakin all the way through Luke. The Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker. But I mean, when I think of one that's just different than all of them, I always think about Count Dooku's with the curl to it.
Oh,
that
yeah.
one to me always just stood out.
Yeah. Well, the guy that I'm actually supplying these hilts from is working on a Dooku one, and he basically Disneyed me for a few months. I asked him, "Are you going to be making a Count Dooku at the beginning of the year?" So he said, "Yes, I'm going to be making Dooku." And then an email comes with updated hilts. So yeah, he basically came up with Anakin and Obi-Wan from Episode 3 and Anakin Episode 2. And I said, "Okay, when's Dooku coming?" "Oh, Star Killer? That's February." "Dooku. Oh, you mean Darth Vader Episode 3? Yeah, that's March." I'm like, "Dooku! Oh, yeah, that's not for a long time." But he's basically the reason is because the hilt needs to be exactly proportionate to the one in the movies. You cannot have one too thick or too thin. And it's very hard to make, apparently, from what he told me. So he wants to get the dimensions right because he did make a run of this hilt a long time ago. And people were not happy with the fact that it was maybe too small. So he wants to make sure that he has the dimensions right so he can issue this hilt. And when that comes, that's going to be my first Sith lightsaber that I'm going to be building. Gold red and stuff.
That's awesome.
The one I was hoping mine could be built off of was the Sith Troopers. Is that the right name? Qatar? Remember I showed you that one? They were like stormtroopers with lightsabers, and that was
yeah.
their hilt.
I think they were called Sith Troopers. Wait, let me just.
Yeah, Sith Stormtroopers, just something like that.
No, not Sith Stormtroopers. They were actually called Sith Troopers. Yeah, I actually have the Galaxy of Heroes game, and they do have some Old Republic material here. And yeah, I think that what you're actually looking to base them off is the actual Sith Marauders, which were basically
That's it.
Sith Marauder. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I actually saw the hilt now, and that is something that you could make into gold. And I'd like to mix those colors because it's something that not a lot of people are hot on because it takes some very particular resistors to make these gold colors and the ambers and the yellows and the reds, and it's something that if you screw up, it will basically dim your lightsaber and may never go on again. So um, people like to stick with the blues and the greens, which are easy colors to fix. But I did my studying with yellows and ambers, and with my dad's advice, I feel nothing because basically we've been here for a few days, and he taught me what I wouldn't learn by myself in 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Just really like the way that hilt looks. And plus, I'm tired of getting beaten down by my kids with these $20 lightsabers. So I'm gonna
Oh man.
reign supreme.
You can knock their teeth out with the metal hilt. So yeah, that would be. You'd be like, I'm the one. I'm the one in charge here. Boom.
Yeah, I got that like $20 Mace Windu one. Yeah, not that great. I remember
Oh,
my
man.
aunt years ago got me the Luke Skywalker blue lightsaber. Like the FX ones, but they're not made to actually combat with. So after my kids saw Star Wars and stuff, I would use that, and I can tell you guys right now, I feel like an idiot doing it because that thing's like destroyed.
Yeah, I've got one
The
of
light
Luke's as
doesn't
well.
come on or nothing. The light's gone.
So,
Huh.
speaking of destroyed, it kind of reminded me of Kylo Ren breaking Luke's iconic lightsaber in half. So, from what I understood in Episode 9, Rey has actually repaired this hilt, and I want to see what it looks like now. From what I understand, it's going to look like a dog's breakfast because, yeah, they kind of split that up. They kind of broke it.
She wrapped some duct tape around that thing and called it good. That's what
Yeah.
happened.
No, but hey. Ray repaired that lightsaber. She did a fantastic job, okay? The disrespectful women hater. So,
You
yeah,
just hate
Ray
women.
fixed it.
What were you saying, David?
Yeah, I was just saying, I've got one of Luke's lightsabers as well, but it's one of the really cheap ones where, it's got the blade inside it and extends when you flick it. So it's really cheap plastic one. It's dead tacky.
Well, the first lightsaber that I ever owned was the Qui-Gon Jinn hilt. Those very thick hilts because they had those huge batteries, the ones that they use for. So I wanted a blue lightsaber, and I told my mom Obi-Wan, Darth Maul, Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan, okay, Qui-Gon Jinn. So she brought me Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber because apparently all of the stupid kids on the block wanted Obi-Wan's hilt because they thought that Qui-Gon Jinn was lame, and they're like, "No, oh my God, Qui-Gon Jinn's the best." Shut up! I had his hilt first. So I wasn't accustomed to the green color. I was like, "Yeah, green is not my color. I prefer the blue one because it was the one that was most portrayed in the movies. Because up to episode 1, we had a lot of blue lightsabers compared to the green ones. So I wanted blue, naturally as a kid, when I was 8 years old. So then when I actually had that lightsaber and I started playing with it, I grew accustomed to the the green color. And I started liking it so much that it actually ended up becoming the preferred color that I wanted. And then, when we had the in-universe explanations of what the colors mean, yeah, consular. I think that it fits my type because I'm not one of those guys that's gonna get into a fight. But if you get into a fight, book a plane ticket, migrate to another country, run, fly, hide.
Because you'll bring your lightsaber and beat people with it.
Yeah, but the thing is that here in Greece, no one has a lightsaber. So if I beat people with lightsabers, they don't need my ID. They'll know it's me.
I tell you, I'm. You ever see these things on YouTube where people like get in fights or whatever, and they're falling and slipping all over the place. Nothing graceful or Bruce Lee about that shit. And
Yeah.
he
The
just
thing is that you have to choreograph it. I'm sorry, unfortunately, you have to choreograph the fight.
yeah. I'd love to see you hitting people with a lightsaber for real. It'd be priceless,
Oh.
dude.
Oh, and Katarn, just to let you know, my first lightsaber was the Qui-Gon Jinn too. I had that clunky one too. But then,
Yeah.
I moved on to the Darth Maul one because I realized I was way better with the double bladed lightsaber. Oh man. I remember I let my aunt have it and she had it in a storage unit, and all the way up until like high school, we cleaned it out and I found that lightsaber, bro. I was still playing with it after that. Like, it still
You're
worked. Like, it was straight from her storage unit and it turned on and everything. I started hitting my brothers with it right then.
you're a bow staff kind of guy then.
Yeah, pretty much. I
So
mean,
yeah,
yeah.
cool.
That's because of Ninja Turtles, though. I love Donatello.
Oh yeah, man. Back in '96, my parents got new carpet, and it was wrapped. All the carpet was wrapped in this giant bamboo stick, and it was just the perfect size, man. It was probably about, I don't know, an inch diameter, and
Yeah.
it was about 7 feet long. Man, I was in a heavy metal band, and when the guys came over, man, they would get so pissed at me because I thought I was, fucking the master with this thing. Not so much. I hit a couple people, and but I've always loved that. I don't know where that thing went. It was a pretty cool piece of bamboo, though.
Well,
That's awesome.
my grandfather used to have all of these sugar canes, and I used to use them for practicing and sparring. My lightsaber techniques. Actually, when I was a kid in high school, I remember when I was like up to the age of 15. You can tell that I didn't have friends from descendants, but the thing is that my grandfather had this. Well, he still has this piece of land, but I just don't go there anymore. Where basically it was very secluded, and I was connected to the whole nature thing, and it helped with my whole Jedi mentality going on. And I would take those bamboo sticks and I would like spar and train for hours and hours on end, hours. And it was kind of one of the reasons why I actually connected to Star Wars. And when I hear some dipshits like Hello Greedo saying, "Yeah, the lightsabers were too overused in the prequels, and yeah, it's your meat and veggies, and shove your meat and veggies up your ass." Lightsabers is Star Wars. People loved lightsabers, and people wanted to see more lightsabers. And then when George Lucas gave us more lightsabers, people snubbed them and said, "Ah, you overused it and you ruined it."
No, we still need more lightsabers.
And we didn't get any in the sequel trilogy. Come on, man. My nephews can spar better than Kylo Ren and Rey. Okay, sorry, not Rey. I'm sorry.
Well,
Yeah,
especially
raise the
in Blade.
Right. Hey, let me ask you a question, David. Would Rey be cooler if she went to the dark side?
Absolutely.
I think that would be cool. Yeah, I think that would be cool, but there's just nothing really that's. I don't really like Kylo Ren. I think he's just been ruined in The Last Jedi. So I can't see where they can go with Rey and Kylo now.
Yeah, it really sucks. Kylo seemed pretty cool when The Force Awakens started. The very first beginning of the trilogy, they come down. The stormtroopers can actually hit people. They're destroying people, dying. People are dying. They're hitting their mark. Their aim is good. And then Kylo steps off the thing, thumping when he walks through the steam. He's got this scary mask, with slit.
Removing the mask was a big mistake, man.
Yeah, removing the mask was such a mistake. I actually liked rewatching the beginning. Just to go, damn, that had so much promise, But now you're right. It's like he's this emo guy who's in love with a girl he can't have, and so he thought he was sad before, but now he's really sad.
I'm working a video right now about redoing the character of Finn, and for doing that, I went back and rewatched the trailers for The Force Awakens, and I got excited about the movie again. But then, reality hit, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be such a great movie." And then I stopped at the end. I was like, "Oh no, it wasn't that good." And then they hit it with then they slapped it in the head with the Last Jedi, and that was over. But I mean, You go back and watch the trailer sometimes, and it is.
Well, actually, can I tell you guys the best thing about The Last Jedi is its trailer. When I saw that trailer and the music and the promise that that movie had, kind of reminds me of my ex-girlfriend. You know, so much potential, but it all went to waste. She subverted my expectations.
Yeah, it's like being in a brothel right after sex, and you're cuddling, and then the boyfriend comes and you have to jump outside in the freezing weather naked.
Yeah, and you hit a frozen pole with your ass. Your ass is warm and sticks to the pole.
Yeah, because I've been to so many, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm actually talking out of personal experiences. Never drop into the street when you're nude, guys, because the floor is cold, especially in Maine, Greece, and March. Sorry. So, so the Force Awakens had so much potential, but now looking back, I think that we need to erase the second A from the title. It should be the Force Awakens because we didn't know what we were launching into. We didn't know.
Trump 3PO.
John Freefield, congratulations on 1K, but I think up to this point it must be like, I don't know. I want to just
Sorry.
say shout out to you, 3PO, because although I haven't been in touch with him that long lately, that much, he always finds time to drop in and say hi, and I really appreciate that. His content is great, and you guys must know him. If you don't, sub to him and bless the maker. Thank you, 3PO, for dropping in. And also, congratulations again for 1K. I hope that 1K turns into 10K, hopefully this time next year. And hopefully for us, for me specifically, I hope that I manage to go to 240 subscribers by the end of July. Anyway, I'm just messing around. Thing is that we have an awesome community, and these people are rising. They're gaining traction, and it's something that I'm proud for. And at first, yeah, I was like, yeah, I want to rise as well and get the subs. But I realized that I'm just as happy when I see some other friends in this community rising because basically what I say is what they say. So I'm kind of happy that the message is out there, even if it doesn't come from me directly. I'm very glad at least to say that, hey, you know what, Drunk 3PO, you know the guy, he's cool. I'd love to have a beer with 3PO or any one of you guys, but well, I guess I have to make do with what's going on right now behind the laptop screen at home Hangouts. But basically, I'm very glad to be acquainted with everyone in this community. And I hope that I get the chance to meet and stream with much more. And 3PO, you better get your drunk ass on my stream one of these days. The Senate will decide your fate.
Yeah, it's good to have you here, Big D. Good to have you here. Congrats, man. So where were we? I wanted to ask Comic Stacks, do you watch do you look at a lot of the EU stuff too? And if so, are there any comic books regarding the EU?
I'm not big into the. I haven't been big into the EU. I mean, my Knights of the Old Republic was about as far as I really got into the EU. I was more of the base movie guy. I think I've watched the original trilogy about 1,000 times. Quote it to you up and down, but I didn't really get into extended universe that much. Some of the Yuzong Vong stuff, I read some of that, and what else was there? A little bit of it, not much. And I on the comic book side, it's mostly been owned by Marvel the whole time, and they've pretty much stuck to the Vader storylines, some of the fill in the blank stuff with him, following his him becoming Darth Vader, and that's probably been the best storyline recently. I have to go back and look see about some of the other EU stuff though.
Do you think they should use the Yuzon Vong guys?
Absolutely. I think the whole new trilogy would have been a lot better if you had the First Order as a threat that was running parallel and they could go to war or whatever, but then that war gets broke up by a third party, and then you have these two conflicting ways of running the government that are having to unite against one threat. And then the constant threat of them wanting to turn on each other, Luke Skywalker could have went down, fighting the Yuzong Vong when the First Order, was supposed to go in and do X, whatever that is, and they didn't do it because they knew it was going to kill Luke Skywalker. I mean, there's so many things they missed out on by not having a third threat. We're basically getting recycled Empire versus Rebellion. We're just going to call it the Resistance this time because it's woker. So I think they missed out on a huge.
Well, I think that you're so right, because I think that people would have loved to see a team up between Jedi and Sith.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would have loved that. I want more Sith. I want more. Yeah, they're trying to get rid of the Jedi and the Sith. It's like, what is your malfunction,
Because there is no right or wrong.
Right. Because, the liberals are like, okay, everyone gets a fucking trophy, right?
Exactly.
I gotcha. Through Twitter. Well, I'm personally down with the whole Yuzon Vong thing now. I know I don't know a lot about the EU, but when Heir to the Empire came out and then Thrawn came into all that, I was, what was that, 1986, something like that? And I remember going into the bookstore at school. They were having a book fair, and I saw that book. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. You mean there's one that comes after Return of the Jedi? And yeah, man, Timothy Zahn's trilogy is just a masterful interpretation of where, Jedi should have went or could have went. I mean, there's a whole era there where Luke, grows up, and I'd like to see that explored as well.
Exactly. People wanted to see how Luke became a Jedi Master. They wanted to see his journey. It isn't about Rey. It isn't about Kylo Ren. It's about Luke. But unfortunately, Kathleen Kennedy happened and Rian Johnson happened. We've said that many times before, but
go back to if there was a third party, that third party that comes in and is the enemy for both the First Order and the Republic. At that point, you could have had a lot better handoff. I had no problem with this prequel, or I'm sorry, the trilogy being a handoff between a passing of the guard between Han Solo and Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia, and handing that over to the new, Reys and Finns and Poe Damerons. I didn't have a problem with that. But we missed that whole handoff. It was just like, yeah, these guys are going to run things now. Sit back in the back and be old. That's all they've done. Ready, 1, 2, 3, die.
I'm so sad about the way it's gone. I really am. I think a lot of us are. I'm over the anger. Now I'm just like totally bummed about it.
What do you guys think that Carrie Fisher's reaction to all of this would have been?
She would have been calling Ruin Johnson and J.J. Abrams an asshole.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Well, you see, the thing is that Carrie Fisher, I don't think that she's she is a feminist, but she's not a cancer feminist. So I really do believe that she would have disagreed on this.
Well, that also, don't forget that she was alive while they made it. So Mark was feeling very frustrated about everything. I'm sure that they confided in one another about his feelings on The Last Jedi. My question is my question is the same, but in such a way that will Mark do an auto bio about all of this one day? And if he does, maybe he'll address it. What do you think?
I think he's already come out saying that he's not happy with it now, hasn't he? Now he's finished filming.
Right, but it'd be cool if he put it in a book, because just recently, he said it about episode 9. He says he feels hornswoggled.
Yes, I think he will make a book, but I think it'll be someone else writing it for him. I can't see him doing it himself.
True. Hopefully, he'll dictate it. But what do you call that when someone writes it for you, but you kind of dictate it? Whatever that is. Mark Unleashed. That would be the book I'd title it if I were him. And just let go and tell everybody everything about how he felt through the industry. Because let's see, when you see Mark Hamill let go and be the character he's allowed to be, well, a good interpretation of that is the Joker. When they're like, okay, here's your lines, and he's like, he clearly is excited about the character, and you can hear it in his voice when he does the Joker. So when he does, milking that Mercamil camel, mammal, whatever the hell it is, he nailed it because he wasn't happy about it. Hell, you look at the making of what's it called, the director in the Jedi. He's like, you hear Ryan Johnson in the background. Dude, I can't believe the guy laughs like a little girl. It's crazy. And then Mark's like clearly not pleased with it. I don't know. I'd really like to hear what he has to say, but going back to Leia, Fisher, I think that we would find out there.
I think Carrie Fisher wouldn't be happy with the new cartoons of the original trilogy films. I think she'd be a bit annoyed about that one.
Yeah, she like that when when they had her slap Luke and all that. She'd be like, "Okay, that never happened."
Yeah, and
she
the way
would, she
that
would
she
be
was,
very upset about that.
Irvin Kershner is rolling in his grave because when he wrote the character of Leia in Episode 5, he wanted to give an interpretation of Leia that was more vulnerable and sweet because it's only natural. Okay, and he wanted this romance between her and Han develop, but it was done so organically that it worked. But no, we had to go woke because it's important to go woke.
I actually wrote something here. I'm looking to find it real quick, but I'm going to address this on my next flip side, which will be next week. But yeah, here it is. So I was reading an article early last week where Todd Fisher, they basically brought up in the article what he said right after Carrie died and Last Jedi came out. And they were talking about Episode 9 and how they wanted to bring her back into the movie. And he said this, quote, "There's a lot of minutes of footage. I don't mean just outtakes. There is unused, new content that could be woven into the storyline. That's what's going to give everybody such a great kick. It's going to look like it was meant to be, like it was shot yesterday." And then he said something about it being terrific or whatever, but I didn't get that part of the quote. So they're going back and using all this old footage. My guess is that they're going to CGI clothing onto her to change her outfit or wardrobe. What do you think she'd feel about that?
I think she'd be okay with that because she's always liked the character Leia. So I think it is a way to bring an end to the character anyway, because they could have done that in The Last Jedi when she got blown out into space, but then had the Mary Poppins vision. So they kind of ruined that, really.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate situation. I think we all thought, oh, great, that's a fitting ending. Okay, peaceful
I
exit.
thought it was ballsy. I thought that Hay would get an ending, but then when she opened her eyes, I'm like, no.
I was like,
No! What?
Yeah,
No! What?
yeah.
No! I kept going for 18 minutes, guys.
I want to know why she didn't save Admiral Akbar.
Oh yeah.
She knew those. She knew they
were.
were shooting at them. She knew. She could have stopped those rockets from even hitting them. I mean, I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. She could have deflected those shots, and everybody would have been fine.
Yeah, Rant. She should have been able to stop that, talk to her son, and be like, the way she used to do with Luke across the galaxy. Like, Luke, son, don't do this.
What's up? What's up?
Well,
Mom?
she kind of did.
Stop it! I'm trying to look cool in front of my friends. Oh, no.
She kind of did. Kylo wasn't the one that fired.
Yeah, no, he didn't. But
yeah, it was his two wingmen, and that's what bothered me the most. Like, how can Snoke still keep him alive after keeping Leia alive? Like, Snoke knew he didn't fire that shot. If I was Snoke, I would have killed Kylo Ren. Like, there's no hope for you. Like, you're crying all over the place. You didn't kill your mom. You need, I need a new apprentice. That's what I need. Like, can I return you somewhat, somehow?
Snoke, I killed my daddy. He pays the bills.
You're crying all over the place.
I still can't believe Snoke didn't sense a lightsaber being turned towards him as well.
He's literally talking about how he could sense shit like that. It's like, wow.
Well, I mean, I did a video on that kind of. It to me, it was a little theory I made. It was the same as Emperor Palpatine dying. he thought he was winning. He didn't sense Darth Vader about to turn on him. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, if you think about it, they were both talking junk to their lesser. Like Snoke was talking to Rey. Emperor Palpatine was talking to Luke as he was
There's a
shocking
big
him.
difference
And then
between the things, my friend.
I know.
Vader had a sudden change of heart. Rey was always woke.
Exactly. But Kylo Ren turning the lightsaber is somewhat like Darth Vader turning on, Emperor Palpatine. Somewhat.
I
Not
see
at
the
the same level.
similarity. But, let's see. You got Palpatine shooting lightning out using the Force, which apparently is taxing on the individual. And
Exactly.
he's focused on killing Luke, and he already knows, well, fucking Vader's cool, And but then, like, you see it, Vader looks at him, looks at his son, looks at him, and he's like, nah, fuck this. So it's immediate, like, but Kylo Ren's thinking, okay, I just got to turn this while looking straight at this guy. Okay, maybe this finger goes here. I'll use my other hand and turn this blade.
Hey, it sounds like me in my first time going on second base with a girl. Boom! 16 years old.
Okay, but think of it like this, guys. It's hubris that killed them. I mean, even Darth Maul. When he was standing above Obi-Wan, he thought he won the fight already. Emperor Palpatine thought he won the fight. Snoke thought he won the fight because he had Rey right in front of him.
Monologuing.
I kind of feel like it was a little bit of hubris in there that, like, I swear it, like, dulled their senses. You know what I mean? Like, they thought they were going to win, and then they ended up getting turned on.
And the irony is when Palpatine fought Yoda, he was like, "Your arrogance blinds you, Master Yoda."
If so powerful you are, why leave?
I gotta do a prequel call out. I always thought that the Darth Maul scene with him standing over him, I mean, I love the concept of it, but I always wish that when he jumped up, Obi-Wan would have summoned his lightsaber and Darth Maul would have swatted it away, and it was actually Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber that he caught and slashed Darth Maul with. I always, because him just standing there looking like a boob.
Yeah.
When he gets cut in half, is just such a letdown for a character that had been amazing through that movie. So, I just him, force throwing himself up. I just wish he would have reached out for, like, both of them at the same time and had a distraction or something, rather than Darth Maul just sitting there with his mouth open, looking dumb. But
Stacks.
If you sit and listen to the sound effect that goes through Darth Maul when he gets cut, it's the same thing that happens when you actually have, like, spicy food and you just start to digest and then your stomach's like, okay. So you go like,
okay.
I get the same feeling, man.
Yeah. Stacks, when I did the Sith series, my last one, and I actually I want you guys to help me out on the next one. I always have people come and do guest voices, but I did it on Darth Maul this time because I don't know, I was in the mood, But yeah. Right there at the end of the Phantom Menace, I have to make sure I don't say fandom. Right there at the end of that, when he does get cut in half, I edited it in such a way that it looks like Obi-Wan or him are fighting, and then boom, he just gets sliced in half. Because I agree with that. I always thought that was crazy because in Revenge of the Sith, when Anakin jumps, Obi-Wan's like, he's got a whole hour really to figure out what to do. Same with Darth Maul. He's like, Maul's got a whole hour to figure it out. Like, oh, he's in the air, he landed. What's he gonna do? Like, what?
Yeah. He's going to turn around and be like, how did you possibly do that? He should ask that. That was amazing. Do you mind showing me? And then he just cuts
it. He's perplexed and baffled. It's just like, whatever. I don't know. It is one of the better lightsaber duels. What's your favorite?
That one is amazing. The Darth Maul, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, that whole fight is amazing. I mean, that's absolutely, as far as the prequels go. I mean,
it's still over the top and acrobatic. Oh my God, there's no literature in there.
Now you want to talk bad? Go to the Return of the Jedi. Obi-Wan versus Luke with the dance spinoff. That one was bad.
What part? I'm not sure what you're talking about.
The part where they're spinning the lightsabers behind their back at each other.
Oh, Revenge
Oh
of the
my
Sith.
God.
Revenge
Yeah.
of the Sith. Right. That was a rough part. Yeah. Overall, I liked the whole battle, but I actually found online somebody had changed Anakin's blade to red. So when I rewatch it, I'm like, I feel like it's a lot better that Anakin's blade is red. I feel like I know that they changed it to where instead of growing the artificial crystals, that you have to bleed the crystal, but back then it was still artificial crystals. So I would have thought that when Anakin turns into Darth Vader and he's like, "Rise," he'd be like, "And here's your new lightsaber," or some shit like that.
right. Here's your lightsaber crystal. And
Yeah, or
stuff,
your crystal.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured the same thing, right? Yeah. Yeah, it kind of bothers me
Yeah.
too that they kept it blue, but at the same time, I thought like maybe okay, it's just to trick the Jedi at the temple, and then his lightsaber was still blue when he fought Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it's just like, yeah, this really makes no sense. Like, there's
Yeah.
no point in keeping it blue after he already just killed all these younglings and Padawans and knights. It's just, oh man.
Yeah.
Have
So
have you guys checked out the comic book where Anakin goes and makes his kyber crystal bleed?
yes, I have. Yes.
Oh, it's actually really, really good.
It really is.
It actually reminds me a lot of the Star Wars series Vader movie. The flashback he has and how he sees everything kind of going down.
Good point.
Really,
Yeah.
I need to do that video. I've had it on the back burner for months.
The comic. Yeah, do that comic video. That'd be great. I'd watch it.
Hell yeah.
Well, now I got to do it.
Yeah. Then I can't remember. I think I actually have that comic, to be honest with you. And then in another episode, a few episodes later of that comic series, doesn't he come into contact with that Sith helmet, that ancient Sith helmet? Omen, yeah.
Yeah.
It's freaking
It's got
badass.
him doing that. It's got him training the who the heck are they? Not the conquistadors. Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah,
oh man, I'm drawing a blank on what the.
I know, right? Those Sith, not acolytes either.
The fallen Jedi guys. I can't remember what they're called.
Oh,
Yeah, they're
Inquisitors.
The
Inquisitors.
Inquisitors. That's it. Yeah.
Conquistadors.
Like, it's funny. I had the word in my head, but I was still sitting there like,
That's me.
the Inquisitors. I kept thinking to myself, conquistadors. What's close to conquistadors?
You know what made me
Close enough.
remember it? The conquistadors would be like, and now you'll face the Spanish Inquisition.
You're kind of inquisitors. Senor Vader, we have found him. What are we going to do?
You don't know the power of the dark side.
Adios, mijo.
Oh, I love it. I love it. There's no reason that can't be redone right now. Somebody needs to go
Right.
back.
Do you, do your comic in Spanish, bro. That would be hilarious.
Oh man. I'm gonna yeah, when I do the one where he's training them, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least
I
a
want
part
it to
of
be
it. Yeah.
archived so I can get the information. Oh man.
Hey, Chong, how fast do you think we're going, man? I don't think we're going at all.
Hey guys, sorry that I'm not that interactive, but I'm actually practicing my soldering because right now, I'm stressed. I told my dad how I'm gonna be doing the whole lightsaber build, and he said, "You're screwed, right?" I said, "How?" He said, "If you screw up one joint, you're going to know that the whole world is watching you,
No
and you're going to
pressure.
screw up the next one." And I said, "I have a solution." And he said, "What?" "Being drunk." He said, "Yeah, that's the way to fix it."
No.
Yeah.
No, you want to know how you should do it to have confidence? Be in your underwear.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, listen to Rant.
You want to have confidence? You stand in front of the camera. It's like, yeah, you see these? Yeah, they are hearts. What's up?
Yeah, you see, Professor Farms were from Futurama.
Oh wow, yeah.
Now that's confidence. right there.
Oh man, he'll be naked in front of you. He don't care. Like,
I cannot teach. I'm a professor.
Man, you know what? Someday somebody's gonna do that on YouTube. They're gonna like blur their pecker out, but they'll be like, "I'm the naked Star Wars review guy."
The
Somebody,
naked Star Wars fan.
yeah.
Oh, you
Star
you
Wars
used to
under
get
fan.
Hey,
You
hey,
used to get-
I'm writing this down. Hold up.
What'd you say, David?
you used to get coloured condoms, so it actually looked like a lightsaber on you.
Priceless.
Well, actually, speaking of condoms, my friends know that I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and one thing led to another. And you know what kind of, thing that they thought would be funny? They're like,
Glow in the dark?
Yeah, the glow in the dark ones.
I knew it.
And it's the green ones. And I looked at them and I said, "You don't know the power of the dark side, ignorant
Oh
fool."
man.
Less of a lightsaber, more of a light knife.
Yeah.
I have had those too, okay? And I'll tell you this right now, if it did not block me, because I was sitting there, like, yeah. Yeah, I was waving it around acting like it was a lightsaber. It happened, okay? I never buy those. I never bought those anymore. Like, yeah.
So, guys, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just saying, it's not cool to get blocked. It's just not cool.
Oh, amen to that.
Food, go ahead.
So, guys, Clone Wars returns this October.
Yes.
Excited about that. Excited about that.
Basically, if the Clone Wars was a person, I'd pull my pants down and say, "Take me, have your way with me."
Oh man, I'm getting scared. I think we're gonna have to skip next week, bro.
You'll be watching the Clone Wars and you'll know that my pants are down.
All right, that's fair. I'm gonna watch Clone Wars with my pants down too. Okay.
Get in the mood. Anyway, but the thing is, when I saw that trailer, I remember I saw the trailer. When did it come out? The trailer? I think it came out in April or May. I'm not sure, but basically, I saw that trailer, and I was, living with my girlfriend at the time, and I wasn't hyped because The Last Jedi was still pretty much hated, not as much as it is now, but basically there was still a lot of videos coming out. We had Mauler's videos coming out, and it was fresh, and the Dishonored Wolf, and when I saw that trailer. And I saw a war left unfinished until now, and I saw Ahsoka saying "Hello, Master," and I saw Obi-Wan and Anakin. I squealed like a little girl that stepped on hamster shit, and I was heard 13 blocks into Athens' mid-drag. I kid you not. I squealed out of excitement.
Over what now?
The Clone Wars. When I saw that trailer.
Oh, we were excited. Okay, gotcha. When you said hamster shit, I was like, "Damn, that sounds like a bad thing." But yeah.
No, I said I squealed like a girl that actually stepped on hamster shit with her, with a sock, and the shit sifted into her.
Okay. Oh man.
I know, I'm graphic, but it's one of the best qualities that I have.
You definitely gave me a visual. Damn. Was that a door or your voice?
No, that was actually the hamster.
You should be nice to animals. PETA, we are not harming hamsters. So
only this chicken piccata that I'm having right now was harmed during the making of this video. Sue me, PETA. I love chicken.
I'm excited about it too. Not gonna step in hamster shit over it, but I think it's gonna be cool. It's Star Wars Celebration, guys, which is coming up just in 2 weeks here, 3 weeks.
Wait, I think it's in April 12th.
The 12th. For some reason, I thought the 26th, but yeah, you're right, the 12th, because they're gonna have that panel on the 12th or whatever.
Yeah.
But they're having another.
We're gonna get a title drop.
Yeah, and the title in the trailer, maybe. God, I know. I'm not trying not to go into negatives here today, but before we start talking about Kathleen Kennedy and all that, there is going to be a cool panel that is going to reveal 3 animated Star Wars series. Well, not reveal, sorry. That's going to look at 3 animated Star Wars series. they're not going to announce any new series, but I believe they're going to be Rebels, Resistance, and Clone Wars. I'm very excited about the Clone Wars one. What do you guys want to see in Clone Wars? David.
Well, just the return of Ahsoka Tano. I think she was one of the best in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Anything else?
Well, I can't remember most of the stories. It's been a long time since I watched the Clone Wars. I need to go through them all again. So I can't really remember how it ended.
See,
Yeah.
the Clone Wars has this magical property where when you watch it, it basically gets you hyped for Star Wars, just like the prequels did, just like the original trilogy did. It is so Star Wars like that I don't get how some people love the Clone Wars series, like Rebels and like the sequels. I don't know how they do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
all I
know.
know is I'll be excited to see more of Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi just fighting in the Clone Wars. And, let's see some more Ahsoka, please. For real.
Well, I'd like to see what she's come. What has happened? I want to see basically what I read in Dark Disciple and some of the canon story points that haven't been showed on screen but are canon. I want to see the Siege of Mandalore, which I think that we're going to be getting. I want to see a fast forward in time where Ahsoka basically teams up with Captain Rex to survive Order 66. I want to see what Order
Yes.
66 meant to Rex and how it affected him. And basically, I want to see his reaction because he and Gregor and Wolf and of course Fives were amongst the only clone troopers that had their inhibitor chips removed. And that's the thing. So I was hoping to see that storyline because Rex is such a beloved character, and I thought that he was going to be killed off and stuff. But I never realized. I don't think anyone expected Rex or Ahsoka, for that matter, to be loved that much. I mean, I take Ahsoka's character over Ezra Bridger any day. Yeah, she was annoying at first, but she basically grew out to be a very great character. And for all of those Ramen respecters there, she's a powerful woman. So why don't you fret and lose your shit over Ahsoka and basically praise her, but you see women like Brie Larson and Ray, and basically where they lose their shit. I don't understand that. Ahsoka is such a powerful and respected and well loved character. Why?
Because they did it right. They did it right.
So there's nothing to bitch about.
Yeah, there's not much to bitch about. I mean, when it first came out, I remember I took my son to the movie, and I thought, oh, wow, I get to take him to a Star Wars movie. I hope it's a good animated movie. Sitting there, I was like, okay, no crawl. And then they brought in this annoying Ahsoka and Rado the Hutt or whatever its name was. And I was like, really? It's a Star Wars movie about a baby that they got to say, a baby slug? But once it finished, I was like, all right, that was all right. Not great, but it was all right. But when the series came out, man, we started watching it religiously every Saturday, I think. And it just, man, it was so Star Wars. And it helped to complement the prequels.
Exactly. Guys, you see, it meant so much to me because I was a senior in high school when that series came. And when that series came out, it was something that I was looking forward to, and as a teenager, I wasn't looking forward to a lot of things. And when the Clone Wars came out, I was excited as shit, and I didn't give in to peer pressure or all that teenage shit that a lot of teenagers go through because I had the Clone Wars for me, and that was basically what I needed. That was my fix, and I remember that there was so much marketing for the Clone Wars in Greece specifically, but it was for kids and stuff, because they wanted to promote Disney. Um, that's when Disney was around the corner to acquire the rights. So they said, okay, we need to do this correctly before they executed the series. But the thing is that the Clone Wars was done so right. It fits it feels so right. And you know what the funny thing is? If you look at Filoni and Ryan Johnson, they look like two lost brothers. They look so much alike. They have that wide smile, but you can actually tell which one loves Star Wars and which one doesn't. You see, Dave Filoni loves Star Wars so much that he has a Wolfpack logo on his shirts, on his hat. He also has a Commander Wolf helmet. He basically was so immersed into the series that he actually loved it like a fan and not just being a producer looking for the money. And that is one of the reasons why I respect him so much. I actually saw him the first time when he gave an interview. And I really wasn't that invested. And I remember that there was this other kid at school that loved the Clone Wars. And he said, this Dave Filoni guy is amazing. He likes the Clone Wars. And I saw him and I said, I really, really don't. He really didn't, get the grit out of my eye. And it was a foreshadowing because I said he looks like Ryan Johnson. Maybe I was looking into the future and looking for Ryan Johnson. So yeah, maybe I was right about him. And then when I watched the series and I watched what he did and watched some interviews and understood the creative decisions that this guy made for Star Wars with George Lucas's consultation, dude, this guy is a superstar. I really love Dave Filoni. I love the guy so much, and I really thank him. Even Rebels was like a shoehorned project to serve as a filler for the Clone Wars, and still managed to make that amazing.
That was the very first project for Disney.
And that's where we all got our hopes up, actually, Rebels.
True. The story was good. The animation was subpar compared to the Clone Wars. But
see, the only problem that I have with Rebels, and I support to this day, is, well, okay, you mean to tell me that it's been 15 years since, the Clone Wars, okay? Since the Republic became the Empire, because that's how Ezra Bridger was, and that's when he was born. So he was born on Order 66 Day. So that's what I call it, not Empire Day. But anyway, so you mean to tell me that in those 50 years, the clone troopers that transcended into the Empire, you don't show any of those guys, which is canon, that they did become part of the Imperial regime. You don't show any of them. You don't show what happened to them. And basically, I'm supposed to buy into the fact that the clone troopers were one of the most elite soldiers, but the stormtroopers were clunky idiots. How is that possible?
I don't know. I mean,
you have all been lawyered. You have all been logicked.
Because the Empire started drafting random people who were broke and homeless and shit. And
yeah, just anyone.
It makes sense. There's a homeless
They
guy.
started enlisting people.
I mean, think about it. Palpatine made everyone's lives like extremely crappy, and he was like, "Well, come join the Empire, and your life won't be as crappy."
You get to murder people.
Exactly that too.
I guess.
You get to murder an entire family and then go home and try to not think about that.
Yeah.
Y'all are looking Palpatine through the wrong lens. He made the galaxy a paradise. These darn rebels just couldn't accept it.
Actually,
rebels are freaking terrorists, man. I mean,
technically true.
I am a Empire man. When people ask me if I'm pro Rebels or pro Empire, I cry when the second Death Star blows up. No,
hey,
to be serious, I am a pro Empire guy because despite them, being tyrannical and all that stuff, who's to say that any government in power doesn't do some wrong shit? Who's to say that they don't do mistakes, that they don't do cruel things? Okay, so the Empire was a legitimate government. The rebels were terrorists.
Oh yeah, the rebels killed more than the Empire soldiers did as well.
Yeah.
There's actually
how did the rebels kill more when the Empire was willing to blow up an entire planet? They destroyed Alderaan. Rebels did not kill more people. There's no way.
Yeah, but
that was a terrorist hideout.
Can I take Rand? You know how much more harm the rebels did for the galaxy than the Empire just by blowing up one planet? Okay, let me just give you some numbers. There were actually, first of all, some imperial personnel that were working for the empire and still providing for their families, not being directly involved in the conflict. They were just doing what they had to do in that station, and that didn't mean necessarily battle stations. So there were innocent bystanders in that station that died, like sanitation, like logistics, or maybe
Retail workers. They had a mall in the in Across the Stars, the book Across the Stars. They actually have a mall and a movie theater in the Death Star.
they needed that because it's basically a planet-sized spaceship, and those people needed to vent. They needed a place to be. So imagine all those simple people. They were killed by terrorists. They were innocent. They didn't have a hand in the battle. They were just employed by the Empire. Now, think Death Star. It took millions of credits and resources from the galaxy to build that thing. So could you imagine
Trillions.
what the economic what the economic
Impact.
impact. God, I just wanted to take a minute to say, God, I'm so good at fake politics when it comes to real life politics. So, let me use my ability to talk about things that don't even exist. The thing is that could you even think about what the impact was for the economy from all those planets that the Empire took resources and credits from to build the Death Star? And that is a serious economic blow because let's take economics and statistics and logistics. The Empire's battle station, which was the Death Star, could have also had, like some stock value. So when that thing was destroyed, so was the stock value. So was the currency that was being marketed in, like their in World Stock Exchange. So when that goes down, and you could take the most recent greatest terrorist attack and one of the greatest economic drops in the history of the modern century and world is the World Trade Center. Okay, when that thing dropped, okay, when those buildings got blown up. Now, I'm not going to go into the conspiracy theory. I'm going to go into the actual fact. Those buildings are no longer in the New York skyline. Okay, they're not there, and they had such a socio-economical impact that basically affected the world, at least for a few days. So, could you imagine when people invest something, even in like a warship in the United States, and that thing sinks? It's bad for the economy. It's going to cost.
It could have been Bring Your Child to Work Day as well.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, my thing is, if you want to bankroll, a super death weapon, that's on you. I mean, this is a weapon to essentially hold the universe hostage. Am I right or wrong?
It depends. There were a lot of
the Empire. They'll use it. Well, think about it. If there was a rebel base on Alderaan, they showed right then and there they're holding the whole galaxy hostage with this super weapon.
Well, it depends. If everyone is pro Rebel Alliance, then there is no hostage because they're the guys that are at a disadvantage. If everyone was pro Rebel Alliance.
Hey, taxes went down under Palpatine. I can't back that with anything. I'm just politicking here.
Well, taxes went down because he was taking everything that was of value. Like Sergeant just said, he pretty much robbed planets of credits and everything of value, right?
Hey,
first.
Either way, it's all counterbalanced, man.
It all comes down to the only person we can truly blame for all of this is Jar Jar.
Yes,
It all comes back to Jar Jar.
If Jar Jar had just died in episode 1, I think everything would be fine. I really do think so.
What was the quote? Misap's proposing to give immediately emergency powers to the Supreme Chancellor.
Chancellor.
Don't forget to do your tongue.
You do Jar Jar so well. So well. Obi!
Misa's so happy.
All I know is that I would have been a rebel, but at the same time, I would have been a rebel pretty much for myself. I would have been robbing the Empire all the time.
Well, in that era, what would you guys be? Like if you were in the Star Wars universe during the Empire era, what would you see yourselves doing to survive and actually basically, thrive?
Moisture farming.
In the Empire.
Hold on, one at a time. What, David?
I'd definitely be in the Empire, but I'd actually take shooting practice so I can actually hit stuff.
I'm moisture farming.
Yeah, yeah. It's
I'm
a
your
lot in
Grand
life.
Moff. What's that?
I say it's a lot in life.
We'll make this up. But the thing is, I'd be a Grand Moff because I'd love to hang out with Tarkin just before he died.
That's cool. I'd get I'd become an android. I'd get mixed parts and be a sex droid.
Like, hey, baby, I heard that you have that vintage 2.0 out. Oh, you know me.
I mean, like I'm not getting a lot of subs with my penis attachment, so I'm gonna go female.
And you could have guys going like, hey, do you have that 3.0 USB appendage? And you'd be like, you know it, baby. I got a 2.0. So you'll be welcome, you know.
I went ahead and added triple tits on my new frame. Yeah. Okay, that didn't go
Yeah,
right.
but as long as I can milk green dinosaur juice from your tits.
Oh no! Oh no!
All right, so I'm gonna change that now.
So that is the scene that broke Star Wars.
Oh man!
How do we always get these perverted topics?
I don't know about you guys.
Black
but we're
Angus
not even...
is here.
Uh-oh.
Oh no!
Speaking of
Prepare
perverted
your
topics,
Angus.
all I had to do was say sex change, and I guess that brought him in. Sorry, man.
I know, right? It's like,
I mean, Angus, how is it when we talk about droid prostitution that Angus decides to drop in? I have a beef with you, Angus. I have a beef with you, my friend.
You'd have
It
to
immediately
watch
popped up as a
Under.
notification once we mentioned that.
I mean, if you look closely in that scene of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, he's in one of those booths with the robot prostitutes.
Oh yeah, you're right. The bald one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, leave us, and she's like, but you owe me money, bastard. I'll pay you later.
So, you actually reminded me, Palpatine. Sith Kryptonian asked me. I don't know if the offer is still up, but I'm gonna actually have to ask him. He asked me if I could do, like maybe a small Palpatine segment for his Senate stream, and I've been actually going over some lines, and I've sounded like this tyrannical idiot speaking to himself. But I've been practicing my Palpatine voice. The only thing I can't do is laugh, but I really, really love doing Palpatine. I mean, like, he's awesome.
So let me give you a little suggestion.
Okay.
Do it.
Do it. Yeah. I mean, like, I wanted to go around the lines, and like be invited on the stream, and he would be like, if he had me on the Senate, and I'd be like, Sith, and the Senate, I'd like to introduce you to someone, the Senate. So, and then I would be like, Emperor, would you like to say something? So, this is the so-called Senate. You poor ignorant fools. The last time I checked, I was the Senate. And now you shall pay for your lack of vision in your treasury.
All right, everybody, golf clap. That was actually good, man.
Thank you.
Well, guys, I've got to go. I've got to get ready. We're heading over to our brand new house, so I'm real excited about it.
Awesome. I'm happy for you.
Man.
Thank you. Stacks, it was a pleasure. David R., it was a pleasure, man.
Awesome. Thanks for having us on, man.
Yeah, definitely. And Rant and my friend Katarn, I will see you guys later.
See you later, bro.
See you later.
Bye, guys.
All right. So Flip is off, which means that we're down to 4 people. Oh, and me. So anyway, thing is, when it comes to Empire and Rebels, the wonderful thing about it is the duality. You can pick a side in Star Wars, and now it's pretty much one-sided. It's woke and still sleeping. So So, uh, come on, Stacks, come on. You saw my mug. I'm the ugliest person alive. I actually inflict nausea in people, man. Oh,
Oh, we have someone new on the stream, guys.
hello there.
Hello there. How art thou?
Odin. All right.
Oh, Father. This.
Hi, Odin.
Wait. I
Hello.
have to say the line. It is. Wait. An unexpected surprise, but a welcome one.
There it is. Yes.
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. How's Asgard?
Asgard is just fine right now.
Well,
Nice.
as long as the foundations are good, what did Odin, I actually watched your video when you were talking about, the whole Captain Marvel thing, and you basically went on for 20 minutes, and it was something that I was actually washing the dishes at that time, and usually when I listen to some videos, I listen to what I need to listen, and then like I move on to the next one. But when you were talking, uh, it was something that I felt that I didn't want it to stop. So you were talking about, the whole Captain Marvel controversy, and I saw you how heated you got into the whole thing, and it was really inspiring. And what the thing is, what I held from all of this is that it was so true. How the whole shilling happened, and how the media is. It's just I can say it over again, but basically what you just said. If I had to address this, into an essay or explain it to someone, I just make them listen to your video, and that would basically sum it all up.
Well, thank you.
Fantastic job, my friend. Well done.
Well,
So,
thank you. Appreciate that.
what do you see? Is Captain Marvel going to be in the $1 billion club?
For sure. Absolutely. I just did a video for Geeks and Gamers and also for my channel on this. And based off of the fact that, and this is the research I did months ago for $1 billion films, successful films, as far as how much they made in their opening weekends and how much they made in their first 2 weeks of release compared to the remainder of their release. And normally speaking, for a big budget film, you're going to see a film make around 60% of its entire box office take in the first 2 weeks. So assuming that the $760 million it's made so far is 60%, we could see a $1.26 billion end for the film. If the percentage is higher, which is likely, or is possible, but not likely. So let's say it's maybe 70%. It's still $1.08 billion. And then there's always the chance that it's only 50%, which would be insane. I doubt it'll be this high, but still possible, which would have it at $1.5 billion. So you're looking at a range of probably $1.2 to $1.5 billion by the end of its run.
So those are hard numbers, man. And so that can only mean two things. From what you said, I'm actually trying to look forward and see what the next step is from here. So basically, you can actually say that, hey, you're going to get those guys that are going to say, take that, trolls.
Oh, yeah.
We got to the 100.
It's already happening. No, the shills in the media are already trying to say this proves without a shadow of a doubt that the fans don't mean the trolls can't win. And they're going to try, and you're going to have the Scott Mendelsons of the world try and say that this is why the Star Wars, box office is it's going to be the same thing. But the problem is, and this is, again, the video I did today, is that the difference between the fandoms is so stark that is what needs to be focused on. The fact is that the MCU over 10 years made 22 films that built upon an audience that at first relied on comic fans, and then by the end of it did not need those comic fans any longer. Their audience is so big now, they have these popcorn fans, and that's just where they are at this point. And so Star Wars is different, though, because they try to get new audience members, but they really haven't done that, because if they did, Solo would not have lost $200 million at the box office. Exactly. It would not have made only $396 million. And so Star Wars fans is not the same as the MCU fans. And so they're going to try and spin it that way and say Episode 9 is going to be showing it and proving it too. But Star Wars 9 is not going to. I would say Star Wars 9 probably won't do as well as Captain Marvel, which I think is saying something.
I think that I can actually I can understand, because in Greece I actually returned home, by the way, and I actually started asking my fellow peers about their views on Captain Marvel, and the reason is that they obviously, to back up what you said, Captain Marvel and generally Marvel Comics has a greater audience, because as a kid, a lot of people, have read a few Marvel comics here and there. They know who Spider-Man is, they know, who Iron Man is, and Thor, and all of these characters. So when it comes on the big screen, they're like, "Hey, I've seen that in a comic. Let's go see the movie." And that also makes up, a main demographic for Marvel films. Now, Star Wars wasn't as popular, and Star Wars was something more specific than a comic book movie, and that is why it makes sense that it will not gross up as much, in the box office as Captain Marvel. Now, it's in the billion-dollar club, so that can only mean that they're going to call us trolls and they're going to basically shill all over it. But at the same time, I have a channel to pose. Sorry, a question to pose to this panel. Sorry, um, what do you guys think? Am I right or wrong? Uh, Even if it makes $1 billion or $2 billion, does the box office represent the actual quality of the film? And I'm pretty sure that you're all going to say no, and I think that's the right answer too. But The Last Jedi made 1.2 billion, but at the flack that that movie got.
No, it doesn't represent the quality of the film. It just represents that people are going to sit their tail in a seat and watch it. This thing has been marketed to nauseum, and it's honestly, just from where I work and talking to people, it's a bunch of individuals that fell for the MCU after Infinity War that are like, hey, it's another Marvel movie, I got to go see this. So like Odin was saying earlier, they've gotten rid of these hardcore comic fans, kind of started to push them back to the back burner, while they're bringing on all the normies that this is just middle of the road media nowadays.
Right.
I think it's going to be after Endgame when they actually start to see any sort of drop off in the MCU anyway, because everyone's looking forward to Endgame.
Do you subscribe to the empty theater theory that's been going on? Basically, Disney buying the tickets. I think that it's kind of hard to believe.
Yeah, for me, I'm kind of in that mixed bag, because I'm not denying that there are empty theaters. I'm not denying that there are half theaters. I'm not denying that there might be, them looking at the website and it's saying something and it not matching up completely. What I'm not buying is the Disney is, very clearly trying to buy a bunch of tickets to boost up its numbers. I'm sorry, but you don't make $760 million at the box office by doing that. I mean, it's just there's no precedent for it. Like, my biggest thing to it with it also is that the empty theater stuff makes sense to me, because when you put a movie in as many theaters as they did for Captain Marvel, and when you put it in and open it up as in many countries as you do, then at that point you're gonna have some theaters that aren't gonna be doing well. Like, not every market's the same. Some markets do very well for Marvel films, some don't. And I think that was something that people were kind of running with and trying to figure out. And I'm not trying to put anything against anyone, because I know John Talks mentioned it. I know SC Reviews talked about it. I know a bunch of people, have been running with this stuff. And it's not that they're trying to deceive people. It's just they're taking this information and running with it. But as someone who worked at a theater, I just know that is not a standard practice. And there's really just no history of that, at a grand scale. So
it wouldn't make sense to, happen, especially now.
Wait, so what do you mean by that?
Oh, no, I mean, like, if this hasn't happened before, I mean, like, why should it happen now,
So, I mean, I think that's a fair point to say, like, could it possibly happen now? Could it be possible that it's happening? Anything is possible, sure, but give me the evidence. Having just pictures of the theaters and the screenshots of the pre-bought tickets and stuff, all that stuff can be easily altered. All of that stuff can be easily, fixed. And at the end of the day, too, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not packed somewhere else.
Yeah, it's not.
Let me ask something that ties into this. Is Shazam's coming out right around the corner, and from what I've seen, the opening weekend numbers on that are only around 40 million. Is that because it's opening in significantly less theaters, or is it because I know a lot more people hyped to go see it than they were Captain Marvel?
It's a mixed bag, because then you're dealing with an entirely new, like, here's the thing. You have to understand that there are different fan bases. Are there some crossover between Star Wars, DCEU, MCU? Absolutely. There's crossover, but there's also people that are MCU fans, DC fans, Star Wars fans. And so the reason why is because out of all of those fan bases, and the numbers back this up, by far the smallest fan base of both well, maybe not Star Wars at this point, but the smallest compared to the MCU and DCU is definitely DC at this point. I mean, that's an obvious thing, which is why anyone trying to say, oh, Shazam's going to make crazy money, it's going to make money. Don't get me wrong. It's going to make money. It's going to do well, but it's not going to be, I just can't see a world where it possibly can even match what Captain Marvel is going to make at this point, because it doesn't have
Aquaman
the Disney machine.
But is it going to get any of that runoff success from Aquaman?
It's going to get, for sure. As I said, it's going to be successful. I think that 600 million minimum would be a very good thing for it. And that's what I think it probably will end up making minimum, but it's not going to, because keep this in mind too. When we talk about the DCEU, I like to, a lot of my predictions, they're not always right, but I always try to base them in history. And the reason why I got Captain Marvel wrong was because I was forgetting the fan base. I was forgetting which fan base I was dealing with. But when it comes to this one, when you look to the DCEU, the lowest grossing DC film up to this point in this universe was Justice League, which made $650 million. If Justice League, which was universally panned by not just critics, but even, I would say, a lot of audience members too, general audience members, that is, I would say that 650 being a bottom line for Shazam would be pretty accurate. So I think it's going to be well over 650 million, especially since early reviews, even from critics, are saying, hey, it's good and it's fun. So that's what I think.
Cool deal.
Yeah. And I'll look up the theater count, because I have not checked it myself. I don't know if we have those final counts yet, because those we don't find out usually until the week it gets released, because they're still working out contracts. They're still working out deals. And as I mentioned before, when everyone was freaking out, because remember how the reason why I kind of jumped on the empty theater controversy and how it just was not based in reality is because those same people that were running with that were the same people that were saying, oh my God, they're only showing Captain Marvel in theaters and they're not showing anything else, when they were failing to realize that most theaters don't release their schedules until the Tuesday or Wednesday before for anything that's not a new release. And so Shazam, because of that, you have early tickets, early buys. You can get your pre-tickets now, but not all of the theaters and not all the showtimes have been put in for it. So we're not going to get that total theater count. It'll probably be in the, over 3,500 theater, or over 3,500 screens. For comparison, Captain Marvel was in 4,300 screens. So I would say Shazam's probably going to be around 3,500, if not more.
Well, I just thought of this based on what you were saying, and you know what? I think that Shazam is getting minimal attention compared to any other DC film, is because, first of all, if you look at the trailer, it's very laid back, and it is something that I really want to see, because comic book movies and heroes are supposed to be taken as like over the top and funny and something that you can escape with, and Shazam represents that. And the reason why he's just around the corner and some people like kind of like ghost down and forget about it is because we are actually centering all of our attention, be it good or bad, around Captain Marvel, and that plays a lot. That has a great importance. And when I came back here to some of my peers and I asked them, what's going on and stuff, and they said, the Captain Marvel controversy and stuff. They said, what about Shazam? They said, what Shazam? Who's Shazam? And that's what they asked me. And I showed them the trailer, and they said, I didn't know that this guy existed. And I said, if you paid attention more to things other than shilling or being against Captain Marvel, you would have realized that this is a basically a male version of the DC iteration of Captain Marvel. And when they saw the trailer, they said, yeah, I'm not that hot on that, because it's laid back. I think it's going to succeed because it is true to what a story of a superhero film should be. That's what it should be. It should be laid back, funny, entertaining, escapism. 4 things.
Yeah, absolutely. And also with Shazam, it's actually in a very lucky position, because it is indeed coming out in the wake of Aquaman's $1 billion debut, and being the first DC film to crack that number finally. So it shows that DC films can indeed be not only fun, but also can be well received by not just the fans of DC Comics, but also by the normies, as we call them, or the popcorn fans, as I like to call them. And but it's also in a very good position because the production budget was $80 million, which is very low. That's a good thing, because it means it doesn't have to make as much money. So it only costs, with marketing, $120 million to make. And so the break-even number for that is going to be, well under $400 million, probably $350 million or so is going to be the break-even number. So it's looking pretty good. If it can at least make what the smallest amount or the smallest money maker Justice League made, and get to that 650 range, then it's going to be very profitable. And based on the fact that it's getting very good early buzz, I can't see why it wouldn't do that well.
That's true.
That's a good take on that.
Hey,
Well,
Odin, I
Yeah.
got a question.
Yeah.
When do you think we're finally going to get Black Adam?
Oops, sorry about that. That's my dog. Say that again.
When do you think we're finally going to get, Black Adam to come into the DCEU?
Well, at this point, I say for the DC, they need to first they need to get a front runner, because ever since you had the the departure by Zack Snyder, I mean, has anyone taken over that role yet officially?
Yeah, it's been The Rock for quite some time. Like The Rock's has been posting about being Black Adam for years.
No. I mean, as far as people running the running the DCEU, Zack Snyder's no longer the Zack Snyder was the one whose vision was leading the DCEU, and I think it was a bad direction overall, and the box office and everything else seems to indicate that. So who has taken over? Because that, to me, before we talk about any introductions to any characters, you need to have a Kevin Feige like person running that universe to actually be able to have a direction. Otherwise, you're going to have a bunch of random films coming out, and then you're not going to have a good universe. Like they need to start to get that stuff and tighten it up, because otherwise you're just going to have a bunch of random releases. So, yeah, I would say probably we're 2-3 years off from that happening.
Yeah, that's true.
That's been their problem at the beginning. Is everything seemed rushed. Everything. They seem like they rushed to a Justice League movie. They rushed to a Batman v Superman movie. It didn't. Yeah. Everything seems so hurried to try to keep up with Marvel, rather than just building their own universe and taking the time to do it the right way.
That is so true. That is so true. I had this fellow YouTuber in Greece that basically made a comedic review on the Batman versus Superman. And he basically came to the conclusion, when all of the ha-has and the humor and the stupid comedy was done, he actually sat down and he basically led us to understand that the only reason why Batman versus Superman wasn't well perceived per se, and was more anticipated, because Batman and Superman are more iconic than any Marvel hero. And I'm a Marvel fan, but I know that Batman and Superman are.
You mean DC?
Yeah, DC heroes. Look, DC heroes, and I'm talking about those two guys specifically, because here in Greece specifically, they know Marvel heroes more than they know DC heroes, but they look at Batman and Superman as like their number one. Okay, and they say that, yeah, I like the MCU, but most of them were very hyped when they actually saw the Dawn of Justice movie. Now, the reason why it failed, and they were so right, and to expand on what Comic Stacks was talking about, is that they tried to shoehorn in so many key stories of those characters into one movie, like the death of Superman, Doomsday, and whatnot. So, and basically they tried to focus on so many stories that they lost focus, and that's what made it what it is. I liked the movie. I really appreciated it, and I understood it, but it could have been done better if they took time with it. The MCU took time, and DC indeed was trying to catch up with Marvel at the time. When did it come out? 2016. We had Civil War in Marvel. And the Civil War was a great hit, and they needed to start off. They needed to kick off, and they said, "Okay, Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman," and it wasn't focused. I'm not going to say bad. I'm going to say unfocused. That's the word I would use for BVS.
Yeah, I think what let BVS down is they didn't really build up the Batman movies beforehand. They only really had the Man of Steel movie before they had Batman v Superman.
Yeah, I honestly feel like they should have followed what Marvel did and just gave everyone's origin stories first, and then we can finally get a Justice League movie.
Yep.
Completely agree.
Yeah, instead they tried talk about too much too fast. They went way too quickly into way too quickly into their stories. BVS was a hot mess, and Zack Snyder and also the studio definitely were not on the same page, and it showed. And that's the reason why, as I said before you start talking and booking any other characters going forward, or even talking your next Justice League movie, you need to have someone new at the top. And I don't know of anyone. Again, I don't know who the current head of the DC universe is. Because when you talk about the MCU, it's always Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige is the one that's the producer. He was running the show. We don't know who's running the DC, or at least I don't know who's running the DCEU. So I think that they need to figure that out first, and then let that person be someone who can actually have a vision. Because if they can be someone like Kevin Feige and build a universe, build a world, and have it be successful, then the DC universe could easily be something that could be a good alternative to the MCU. Because it'd be awesome. It'd be freaking hilarious to have a weekend where a DC and MCU film come out at the same time. I would love for that to happen at some point, but it couldn't happen today because, MCU would crush it easily.
One thing where they messed up Aquaman has one line in it that ties it back to the Justice League movie. Without that one line, that could have been a standalone movie in another universe. But that one line about he was the one that defeated whoever the heck it was. I'm horrible with names. I'll make up one here in a minute.
Steppenwolf?
Steppenwolf, yes. He's if not for that one line, that movie's completely standalone and could have spawned off a new DCEU. So it's unfortunate they had it in there, because I feel like, what do you do with Batman now? Now that Affleck's out, how do you keep old Batman? Is that the way we're going to keep going with this? The lack of direction is really, I don't know, disturbing.
Do you guys think that it would have been better to create a cinematic universe around Christian Bale's Batman? With,
if he would have stuck around for it, I'd been all for it. But he was a very Gotham-centric Batman. He wasn't, the Batman that's in some comic books where he's Mr. Get out of every situation and have a plan for everything. He wasn't the anti-Superman Batman. It wasn't his character.
On that, because if you look at Iron Man, the first Iron Man movie, it was strictly centered, if you take Iron Man today and where he is now, and you see how he is centered around a universe, he's basically in space, and you look at Iron Man 1 and he's just like on Earth, basically on Malibu, California, then in Monaco, and then basically when he was captured, of course, and you see like 3 locations on planet Earth, and then now he's basically like halfway across the universe. So they could have expanded on that, and that's why I believe that the MCU succeeded, because they actually started humbly, and that's why it worked. Because if you take the story, and I don't know if you guys agree with this, they took the story and basically it's centered around Earth. And then when you had these interdimensional, beings and gods with these amazing powers coming to Earth one way or another, or challenging Earth, as it was in Avengers 2012, basically that's how they started to grow. So I believe that they could have used Bale's Batman, and that would have made it more engaging and intriguing, because at that time Batman was interested and engaged in helping Gotham until something bigger than Gotham would come along. And that's how it happened with Iron Man, like he was saving Earth, and then he privatized peace on Earth, and then something much bigger than Earth happened. I think that they could have done something with that.
If they had the forethought to change the end, if they had the forethought to change the end of the third one in the series, then I think it would have been possible.
Well,
I don't know if that ending works with him, unless he's straight up coming out of retirement and you have Nightwing out there doing his thing. Maybe I don't know if it ties in as well as like Iron Man and the whole MCU was designed to build towards Infinity War and to build towards this. At least for the last, after they realized the success they had, it's all been built towards this big event.
Well, yeah, but they had a vision, okay? Even DC had their own vision, but basically it doesn't mean that it's always going to pan out. It could have, flopped with Thor. Thor 2011 was kind of underwhelming if you take into consideration the success of Iron Man 1 and 2. Okay, it was underwhelming and it could affected the plans of the MCU. So I think that they also did have a plan, you're not wrong, but I think that they basically sat down and they went as, the whole thing was rolling. They were just rolling with the punches and they expanded to this. But, if you seclude all of what we know right now, and you see those two characters side by side, their origin stories, like Iron Man and Batman, those two characters specifically, they could have been, which, Batman is, the staple of the DCU, and, Iron Man, at least in the MCU. So you can understand that, hey, there is a correlation between the two, and it works. I mean, like, when I see Iron Man, my mother is a huge Iron Man fan, and she was talking to me about this, and she said, hey, there's this thing that I wanted to discuss to you. I mean, did you ever take a minute to think how Iron Man started from, saving the world and reaching, into to planets that he had never even dreamt of? And she was right. I actually never, thought about that, and I said, holy shit, you're right. And they could have done that. They totally could have done that with Bale's Batman. I believe that, and he would have been better. Not that I didn't like Affleck, but we already had Bale, so why reboot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question. Do you guys think that at the meetings they were just sitting there going, Titans, Batman versus Superman, Birds of Prey, a Suicide Squad?
I think they have all those in a hat and they just draw them out and figure out which one they're going to do next.
Master John 93 said how the Titan show was very disappointing. And I was saying, like, I didn't watch it just because from the trailers it looked horrible, So I'm really curious on if they're gonna keep that show going, like if they're gonna try to force it, or after this season they're just gonna stop. Because we had a cool Titans show. It was just Titans, like that cartoon one. I don't care. That was actually cool, but yeah.
What kills me about that show? What kills me about that show is how you see these costumes that they're sinking money into, and they're paying. I mean, studios pay a lot for that stuff, but then you see cosplayers that do it and blow the studios out of the water because they actually care about the product that they're. I mean, it fascinates me watching how bad
the studios have a completely different vision. Okay, I mean, I've met directors in lesser films, and I think that directors have a condition that is not to the human norm. Okay, so people that are involved with creative decisions don't have the same brainwaves as fans. Okay, because they have a different kind of pressure to deal with. So yeah, I want to give a huge shout out to Master John. I'm gonna quickly say this in Greek because it feels kind of personal. He's a good friend. So επέστρεψα Ελλάδα σήμερα, εχθές, και θα τα πούμε από μηνύματα. So I just said that I returned to Greece and we'll DM each other. Greece is fantastic. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so happy. He's a great guy. He supported my channel from ever since I rekindled it, and it works. So yeah, and I think that he can also vouch if he can also comment right now. There is a lot of in Greece specifically, the DC fans, at least in the mid 2010s, like 2015 or 2014, they outnumbered MCU fans. I've gotten into numerous debates with DC fans, and they said that the MCU is this, and we're better, and we've gotten a whole lot of Avengers movies, and then they came up with Justice League, which was kind of underwhelming, but it didn't matter. I saw merit into it, and it was a Snyder production, so yeah, it was kind of over the top. So yeah, basically the thing is, they could have gone with a completely different direction. I'm not a huge Zack Snyder fan because he's too much for me. I know there are a lot of fans out there, but Zack Snyder wasn't the kind of guy to go. Nolan was the guy to go. He could have been like a 5GS for this franchise. So yeah,
Hey guys,
So
I'm
what do
having to
you
bow
guys?
out real quick. I gotta finish some stuff up here at work, and but thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it.
not a problem, man. Thank you so much for coming, and I hope that we can have you again sometime.
Hell yeah,
Awesome.
man! It was awesome meeting you.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
you
was
too,
awesome
brother. Take
meeting
care.
you.
All right, y'all have a good one.
Have
You
a good
too.
one, man.
Yeah. So it's a Darth and the Rand and General Katarn, the General Supreme of the Fandom Collective. Now, uh, I wanted to address something different. So, if we actually take into consideration what's going on with film, and I want you guys to think about it a little bit. Film was always about relaying a message, and despite it being good or bad, agenda based, an agenda is still kind of a message. And right now we're at the receiving end of it. We do not agree with what kind of message is being relayed. So do you think that there can be an objective message, or is it always going to be dictated by the writer and creator of said film?
I think with films, they can put in messages that you don't agree with, as long as it's part of the film and it suits the film that they're doing. But I think most films they should keep like the political agendas out of different films as well. So like we're seeing with the Star Wars and Marvel, it's just going into Marvel. This whole beating down the man, women are better than the men. I think it's just getting a bit too much now, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we had gotten a dog recently, and I can tell you this: I feed that dog more than I feed my kids. Right? I mean, ever since seeing you got to save the space horses instead of save the slave children, I've been treating my dog like gold. uh that's one thing I'll never understand. Like they really pushed for it, save the space horses, and yet you got these like 3 4 little kids that are just standing there looking hungry and shit. Like I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh, it's crazy. It's so crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
them slave kids could have got on the back of some of them horses as well, couldn't they? In the Last Jedi.
they were too short. They were too short. They didn't have any saddles on them or anything. But
Hold
you
on to
would
their
think that
ears.
one of the horses would have stopped for them. You would think like one of those horses would have been like, "You guys groomed me pretty good. I'll let you on." Oh man, it just doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. Yeah, I would honestly have to say to keep politics completely out of movies. Just try to give a life lesson in a movie, if anything, and that's just about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just the female agenda that's out now. Like in Captain Marvel, when she gets up like about 7 times, they're just like, "All right, okay, we get it now." Could have just done that scene
Well,
once.
the thing is that it's not a problem with female characters, but the thing is that it seems very dumb to me. Why would Marvel say, the first ever female superhero? I mean, like, if it's a first female superhero that was successful, like over the likes of Elektra and Halle Berry's Catwoman, I'd be like, yeah, okay, because there's no contest there. But if you're actually comparing yourself to those two movies, you don't have much to be proud about.
No. Well, the first ever Marvel superhero, female superhero, was actually Red Sonja,
Yeah.
which I can't remember what date that was when that came out, which was probably better than this Captain Marvel anyway.
Well, you see, comics were more focused then, and they were not politically based. No one ever actually predicted that comic book movies would be politically based. They would not. If comic books were a completely different thing. People didn't take them too seriously. I mean, like they were a form of pure escapism. They were not like those think pieces that you get today. That's a problem. Now they're being imbued with political agendas. I mean, like that's why I want it out of my movies. Do not keep them into these movies. They're supposed to be a form of escapism. If you want your political agenda, just make a political type movie with other characters or based on real facts, not comic book heroes.
Yeah, they just need to keep out the female agenda out of it, really. You know, I'm perfectly happy with female characters. Like in Star Wars, my favorite Star Wars character is Satele Shan, which is a female character.
Yeah, but she's a kick-ass female character. She's not, like this woke. It's just it hurts me so much. I mean, when I see Ray, I basically get migraines in my brain.
Yeah, it's just the way that she's able to um, defeat someone who's been using the Force a lot longer than she has straight away without any training was a bit daft.
It's just it is so sad. I used to be a proud Star Wars fan, and now it's nothing to be proud about.
No. Well, it's also with The Last Jedi. She only had that three types of training, and you only saw two of them. And then she's supposed to be able to use the Force to defeat Kylo Ren again.
Kylo Ren is such a missed opportunity.
He really, really is. He really, really is.
Kylo Ren could have been a Jason Solo in this universe. He could have been.
Kylo Ren could have been a monster. He could have been like a real monster. He could have tried to overdo what Darth Vader did. I mean, he just I don't know how I should explain this without sounding like a psychopath, but he should have been killing a lot more people than he did. Like anyone that disobeyed him or anything like that. I mean, we all have seen Darth Vader kill someone by force choking them. Kylo Ren never did that. Like when he was mad, slicing up, that console and all that, and then that dude came up. He's like, "Oh, he escaped with the girl," and he just turns around, force chokes him, and says, "What girl?" I was mad. I was like, he should have just killed him. Like, he's just gonna come over to me and bring me more bad news. Like, screw that.
And you didn't even check what console it was. It could have been a life support system or something. Kylo, what you doing? Kill us all.
Exactly. Then he should have just turned around and like, and just killed him. Like, I don't know. I honestly wanted to see something more like that from him, going from inanimate objects onto people. I don't know. I just feel like Kylo Ren shouldn't have been weeping over Han Solo's death. It should have made him stronger, if anything. And the fact that it did, it's like, okay, maybe he will turn to the light side again, and then Rey will turn to the dark side, but they kept the story going with those two staying in their same spots. Like, I don't understand. I mean, I can understand someone being on the dark, like trying to be on the dark side, but breaking at the same time. But Darth Vader, he was breaking because he missed his wife and he lost his children. Kylo Ren, he's just a spoiled brat. I mean, growing up, he was treated like gold. I mean, he's the son of Leia and Han, the nephew of Luke Skywalker. There's nothing that child, he got everything he wanted. Oh, you want your own speeder? Here you go. He got everything he wanted. And then he gets mad that he gets sent off to go train with Luke. Come on, man. Such a missed opportunity. Like, I could talk about Kylo Ren all day. I'm sorry. Someone else talk.
It's like with Snoke, though. Way that Kylo Ren is, like, he's just like a spoiled little brat in The Last Jedi. Killing off Snoke is just like, well, you're not really leaving us with a good, villain at the end of the day. If it was Kylo Ren from The Force Awakens, then I could see them following it on. But the Kylo Ren from The Last Jedi was just a completely different character.
Yeah, completely different. And if you ask me, he was a lot like lower of caliber too. You would think like he wouldn't have any problem fighting the Praetorian guards. That's what they're called, right? Praetorian guards.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would think he would like have demolished them, like just through rage and stuff. Like, it would have been cool if he did that like force power that Anakin Skywalker could do and just force choked like all of them. And then we could have had him fighting Rey for a little bit, and then the lightsaber could have gotten broken through, I don't know, Kylo Ren destroying it himself, like he cuts it in half. I don't know. There's
No,
just
no.
different variants.
That lightsaber. You know why? That lightsaber should never have been destroyed. Okay, because it's too important. It's not like when Dooku basically cut that lightsaber Anakin Skywalker was using in half. He had it like for 5 minutes in the movie, and it disappeared.
I get what you mean, but I'm just saying if they wanted to still go that route, I was just giving advice on how they could have did it. But no, you're right. The lightsaber should not have been broken at all. But we still should have gotten a lightsaber duel between Rey and Kylo Ren. And this time Kylo Ren should have won.
Yeah, absolutely. Like they should have easily won against the Praetorian Guards, as you were saying, because Kylo Ren's fully trained in the dark side of the Force, while the Praetorian Guards are only really Force sensitive, so they shouldn't have really stood any sort of chance against Kylo Ren.
Yeah, I mean, they had that special armor and stuff, but still, I mean, honestly, I swear, they completely cut out other things to put in these new things, and it's like, in my mind, I'm sitting here saying to myself, okay, how come Kylo Ren's not using the Force at all during this battle? I mean, he could clear out the room with just Force choking everybody, and he's not doing that. He's more focused on actually using his lightsaber. I mean, if you're trying to emulate the Sith, there's one thing the Sith didn't really like to have to do was pull out their lightsabers. Except for Maul. He liked pulling out his lightsaber the most.
Well, Rey did use a Force power. She made a dagger disappear off one of the Praetorian Guards, didn't she?
I'm sorry, what?
When Rey was fighting one of the Praetorian Guards, the one with the double daggers, when he grappled her, one of the daggers mysteriously disappeared when he could have stabbed her in the back.
Yeah, I love talking about that. Yeah, that was that was an editing issue. I don't know. What would you try to make up for an excuse for that?
I think they just didn't know what to do. They just thought, right, okay, could easily kill her now, but we can't have that, so we'll just make the dagger disappear. That's all. That wasn't an editing issue, was it?
I mean, they could have had it knocked out of their hand. Like they could have at least tried to show us that quick little thing, but they didn't. So yeah, the fact that it literally disappears. Like I remember I showed my dad once, and he tried to be in such disbelief. He was all like, "Oh no, 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 it's still there." I'm like, "Dad, no, look, it is gone." He goes, "Oh, well, why the hell did they do that?" I was like, "To keep her alive, because clearly he would have been able to kill her." He goes, yeah, I'm done with Star Wars.
Well, when one of the Praetorian Guards got thrown into that electric pit bit and then just spontaneously explodes, I thought that was a bit stupid as well.
Yeah, they just wanted to add in stuff. They really did.
Trying to think of what else was stupid about that film, like Finn going at the main cannon. They should have just let him crash into it as like a great way to end Finn's character.
Yeah, since that was another wasted opportunity, man. Like everyone almost is a wasted opportunity. I mean, Finn has all kinds of knowledge of the First Order, so like that tractor beam they have to track you in hyperspace. How come he didn't tell them that in The Force Awakens? Because the way they made it seem in the Last Jedi is that they already had that thing made. Because Finn was a part of the Resistance since pretty much the beginning of The Force Awakens. So for him to go that entire movie all the way up until after he wakes up and out of that back to suit, he wants to oh yeah, they have a machine that tracks you through hyperspace, but I can destroy it for you guys. That makes no sense. It's as if they had that thing that entire time, but they want to use it finally in the second movie. I don't know.
Yeah, all this stuff kind of like breaks all of the the canon of Star Wars, like the tracking through hyperspace. That's apparently not even supposed to be possible. Slamming into another ship in light speed. That's why didn't they just get an X-wing at the Death Star and just put that into light speed right at the Death Star? Just retcons everything of Star Wars, really.
Hold on, gentlemen. Just give me a second. Please continue what you were discussing.
Oh yeah. I can't understand like how that kind of stuff places in like I don't know. Finn's character has been nothing but comic relief, and I was hoping at some point he would show to be a Jedi, at least force sensitive, but because of Kyle Katarn and who else, Finn Galdrifian. I mean, I remember I've done videos saying like, okay, maybe he's a mix between the two, but that's not the case. They just wanted to allude to that. You know what I mean? So, it's
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah. They basically did the same story arc from the first one to the second one. They had uh, Finn wanting to run away from the First Order, then slowly being brought around to being a hero. And then in the second film, they start off with him wanting to run away again. They just kind of like zeroed his character again when they should have had him on the upward of like trying to help the rebels, resistance win, really.
Yeah, yeah. I really wish they just put more time into these characters. It's so terrible. Master John just said he didn't know it at first, and then via magic he was cleaning the room the whole time. Like exactly, like right there. Through magic, he was cleaning the room. And somehow he knows how to destroy it. Like that's what I'm talking about. He's only useful when they want him to be. Like they should have been like what question they really should have asked instead of about the hyperspace tractor was, hey Finn, where's their base where they train you guys? Like it's not like he's not gonna know that.
Well, actually, with the Force Awakens, anyway, how did Finn know how the events and everything? Because he was only a cleaner, wasn't he?
Well, I mean, Breakfast Club, man, Breakfast Club. I mean, what do janitors do? They listen. You remember the Breakfast Club? Yeah, man, yeah. He was like, I looked through your lockers. You remember all of that? That's what I think. That's what I think is, he's a janitor from Breakfast Club. He listens to everything.
Guys, in the next 10 minutes, I think I'm going to have to taking off because I have to meet some friends and family. Ever since I got back home, it's been crazy, and I needed to take some time. But of course, I will always have time to stream the Podrace after party. So I don't think that Odin is going to be joining us anytime soon because he's busy and stuff. But it's not a problem. Rant, if you can actually manage to have him on the next stream again, that would be great. Is there anything that you guys want to say, to plug in your channel before, we go?
Well, I'm just a small channel. I only just started up. If you want to have a listen to some of my videos, it's at the Darth David R. Got like about 9 videos on there at the moment. So if you could have a look for us, that'll be brilliant.
Great. Rand, do
it. Thank you for having me on once again, bro. And that's all I can really say. And I had an awesome time once again.
Yeah, thank you for having me on as well.
It's a pleasure, and I really appreciate the time that you guys, both of you, have the time to check some of my content. I will be doing, of course, my best now that I'm back home and with some new equipment and stuff. It's not that I'm going to be restricted or anything, but I'm going to be more focused, that's for sure. Please, Rant, I can't stress this enough. Just let Odin know that, I had to go and stuff, so we can have him again sometime later. So, I guess I'm going to have to be going offline.
Yeah, well, let us know when you build your lightsaber so I can watch it live.
Hell yeah, man. I want to be able to see that. Not your underwear, though.
Sorry about that, guys. I'm kind of sharing the place with my dad for the time being. Then I'll be all alone. But anyway, thank you guys so much for coming, and I'll see you guys in the next episode of the Podrace After Party. And goodbye to my commenters as well, and thank you all for taking the time. And I'll see you guys next time with a much higher attendance because I will be a little more flexible. So